Hey guys, so as usual, I kind of wanted to provide some Cyber Dragon gameplay for this format post Age of Overlord. I did recently provide a deck profile for this new format that you can certainly go check out. Basically, the new addition, of course, being SP Little Knight, which is a very, very strong card, and in Cyber Dragons, kind of gives us a grind game again, something that we haven't had since Anaconda was legal, basically. Nonetheless, it is still rough for Cyber Dragons in this day and age, of course, unfortunately. So you're going to see a lot of losses in the replays I'm about to show you, which, for the most part, the main purpose of this video is really to just show the key lines of play that are available, trying to pilot Cyber Dragons, and not necessarily to win, right? So just so we can all learn and stuff, and I can also learn from you as well. So you can certainly go check out that profile, definitely. I think one of the things I didn't mention though is Chaos Angel, just being an alternative. It's not just 2 level 5s that you can go into this. Actually, it's kind of interesting. Core plus like Fortress, I go into that more so, I find, in terms of making Chaos Angel than like 2 level 5s, and those are light and dark, so it actually can be pretty useful as well, that you'll also see in the replay. So let's just get right into the replays. Alright, so this first replay is against Rescue Ace, which is one of the best, if not the best deck of the current format. And so, unfortunately, we're still not going to be able to pull out of it, but it is actually a pretty grindy match, which, unfortunately, we're not really going to be able to keep up with a deck like Rescue Ace. But, we'll try our best. I also forgot to mention, I do have a TCG player affiliate link now, which you can certainly check out when you're buying singles online on that website. Anyways, we do have Turbulence now coming down, and that is going to go to set 4. Imperm will be really nice. That is something I need to kind of consider. Basically, I decided the only hand trap I'm going to play is like Nibiru, because it's kind of like a bomb. Against Rescue Ace, Nibiru can actually be quite great. Nibiru is also a light monster, which can come up when you're like pitching for a Galaxy Soldier. So we kind of have like a standard setup. They still have a capability going to SP, which is a great card. We're going to Kaiju away the IP first, and of course, I'll just pause there because it was a little fast. They do have some machines and Rescue Ace, which is kind of funny. So we were able to go into Chimera Fortress first there. He does get the emergency to get the Preventer, which essentially just specials the Airlifter, and Airlifter is going to be able to allow them to add the Rescue. We're going to go Core. We're going to eat that Contain, unfortunately. So next, we're going to go into Talents just to draw 2. We do have Clockwork, which is not bad. Unfortunately, he has the Veiler just before I try to go into battle phase. Unfortunately, it's going to lose attack. It just has a 500 for the Clockwork. We have the Duality to at least attack over it. Unfortunately, this isn't going to do too much. Duality gets to... I should not have put Fortress back, or rather Chimera Tech Mega Fleet. I should have put Fortress back. That was one of the misplays, and that's going to kind of matter a little bit later on. He's going to have access to the Hydrant. So we're not doing pretty well. And this is one of the downsides, especially a deck like Rescue Ace, where you have so many interruptions you have to kind of like play through. In a deck like Cyber Dragons, unfortunately, we're kind of lacking in terms of the grind game now. So he does have Turbulence, but Nibiru again can be quite strong against this deck because they do summon quite a bit. He's going to pop the Cyber Twin. It doesn't really matter. It's like a vanilla monster anyways. So he does have going to SP now, which gets rid of the Clockwork, but we do have another one. He's trying to go into battle. We'll at least try to force out. The SP does use its effect to banish, which means... Or Nib actually stays in hand, which is kind of funny. So next, we're going to just summon out the Hers, and again, that is actually a machine, so we can go into a Fortress again. He does use Emergency. Yet again, we get the Cyber Dragon off of the Hers, which doesn't really matter too much. And then we're going to go into Chaos Angel here. This is where this could come up, except against this deck, I guess, they do have kind of like back row interruptions, which is kind of one of the few ways to get around Chaos Angel's protection. So we are unfortunately just passing on here. We do have a pretty big beat stick though. But this Field Spell are really strong for the grind game. So he does have a lot of cards to still be able to play through. Again, has access to Contain to, well, contain the Chaos Angel. And then now the Preventer will book it, which is actually kind of funny. I'm not sure if you forgot that I have Nibiru. Because now also Chaos Angel would not be attributed just because it's face down. Again, he's going to do the whole SP thing, but we're still going to attribute off the Turbulence. He gets the token. He does have Super Poly, I guess, sure. Makes Garura, and then Typhon. This is another really strong card that came out in Age of Overlord. Really strong, especially for decks like Labyrinth, where they used to have a hard time outing something like Dragoon, and now they actually have a pretty easy way to out something like that. We're going to go Core Effect again. We're going to go Duality. Try to use its effect. He does have the Impulse and another Imperm. We have Droplet to at least kind of play around the Imperm at least. And so now we are able to send the Hers and Noxer, and Hers will add the Noxer Duality. Again, we're going to try to replenish, draw another card, and then we're going to Contact Fuse everything away. And I was hoping this would be a game. Unfortunately, he of course has another Veiler, which, I wouldn't actually know at this point, even though the hand's shown here. But if he didn't, that would have been game because of Seeger's boost. Unfortunately, we cannot do much. So I thought we were just there, but we kind of lost that out. He does have 1-for-1, and this again, the replenish is always really nice, and getting to draw 1. I do make a very significant misplay very soon. Hydrant, so he's going to add the Preventer. Preventer will summon. He's going to book the Fortress. This will actually stay 0 when it goes up. This is where my misplay was. I got super baited. I was not paying attention. I thought he just didn't read Seeger, but then I realized I'm the one that didn't read. So I allow him to essentially get back Turbulence. I mean, I know Rescues typically play 2 SPs. He might have banished it off Prosperity because he resolved it twice, which is probably why he was crashing in the first place. Otherwise, he could also just like link it away and, you know, just get Turbulence back anyways. But unfortunately, we do play into that and allow him to set up a lot, which kind of sucks because this Therian, if he didn't have that, this Therian would have been potentially helpful. He does take away my Hers. Regulus does still summon though. So unfortunately, we are now we can actually go into our own SP. Try to get rid of that. He's gonna go Impulse, Effect Summon, and then Turbulence does get the trigger. So we don't have too much. Honestly, I kind of ran out of gas pretty fast because ideally we do want to OTK, right? But we couldn't in this situation. So let's just move on to the next one. So this next replay is against Valmonica. It's actually a new archetype that came out in Valiant Smashers. Of course, not nearly as hyped up as Centurion. I mean, this is probably not going to be very good, but you never know, right? Like all of these deck building sets, like after like the second wave of support, a lot of them became like really good, as you would have seen with like, you know, like Makanko, Rescue, Pearly, like all those decks were not good on its first wave of release. This one though, I'm not so sure. I do think the gimmick is a little cool. Basically, you either pay 500 or gain 500 and use different effects, and it kind of like represents, you know, like the light angel or dark angel like by your shoulders essentially. So I think that part's kind of cool. I don't really understand the gimmick. It seems like they just keep taking a lot of stuff and Baguska pass. I don't actually know if this is standard or if it's just this players list that was playing it this way. Basically we have to kind of play through Baguska, which is a little annoying. We always had Seeger access, but now we also have SP access that could potentially work. So here he's going to use a trap and just essentially bounce back the soldier, and then the field spell will actually take back the Naxxer. Now here, I'm going to pause here. This is where, again, that was a little fast. Basically, Therian equipped a regular Cyber Dragon, right? And Chimera Tech Fortress actually does not require Cyber Dragon to be like on the field. It can be just Cyber Dragon on the field as long as it's the original one. So even if it was an equipped spell, or rather equip to Regulus, it actually was still able to contact fuse away the Naxxer on the opponent's field into Fortress, which gives us actually another body. This kind of works out. He's going to have another trap to try to steal, or rather, I think this negates, but it doesn't matter because we're just going to go into SP. Finally, we can get rid of the Baguska, and we actually still have enough gas to be able to make Nova Infinity play, and we also did not activate this effect because of Baguska, so now we can do it. And then we, of course, have this Ref System, my opponent scoops, but you do have the Cyber Dragon in the grave. That's a level 5, and you go into like your whole Nova Infinity line there. So next we have Chimera. We were actually forced to go first for this game. I think this was game 1 too. This was essentially a going second build. So our hand really bad. Just Clockwork. Sometimes this is only to essentially if it's like, let's say Thunder, maybe it can come up against Dragonlink, can also come up because it turns everything to machine. Anyways, Guardian Chimera try to pop. We do have the Droplet. Unfortunately, we kind of use it there. Not ideal, but you know what? It's going to die anyways. He also has the Cornfield. Unfortunately for us, it looks like he's just doing attack with the Chimera and set couple pass. We do have our Repair Plant live now because Cyber Dragon's in the grief. He ashes it, which is fair just because I obviously had no play earlier. But we can at least contact fuse things away. We do get access to another Cyber Dragon, and we have a 3500 beat stick and just trying to stay in the game with this. No actual real Cyber Dragon plays. Mirror Sword Knight, very good normal summon. He's going to have access to the Performant, which essentially gets him Chimera Fusion and the Gazelle. And then this guy can hand rip and also essentially provides a monster negating targeting protection because of Cornfield as well as the Mirror Sword Knight. He also has Super Poly, which goes into Drago, and that I don't even know the name, but I know this. I've seen this tech earlier. Essentially provides another body. We normally don't get to nib Chimera players, I find, but this time it actually did work out. But usually if they're going first, like nib, I find is always like never really gonna be useful against branded Chimera. So we do still have a way to go into Fortress. Keep in mind, it's a token. You cannot send tokens to graveyard, which means you cannot contact fuse away tokens for Chimera Tech Fortress. That is a ruling that you should definitely know if you're playing Cyber Dragons. So next we're going against Salamangreat, which is actually a pretty decent rogue deck right now. With this hand though, it's not great. Sometimes they just have like way too many, draw too many non-engine, because they do play a lot of those. So one Ash was actually surprisingly enough, except we also get Ash tier. So we're gonna just emergency add core just so that we can have some follow-up. He draws us, doesn't really matter. We're gonna thrust Machine Dude, not ideal, but at least we have some kind of play for next turn because we have nothing else. So we're gonna boop for a little 400 there. He has a solid card at least, and he's gonna go into Banelings. Falco sets the circle, and then you're gonna get the field spell, and then Spinny can dump pitch to increase its attack, and then just come right back. And then I guess he's just gonna attack here first. He already knows what my set is. Unfortunately, our Evenly is dead now that I had the set off of Thrust. We at least top deck the Duster, which is kind of nice. We have the Ash for this because we don't want getting access to Gazelle because that can kind of float around. And then now we are in essentially OTK position. Salamangreat has always been a pretty good matchup for Cyber Dragons, even back when Sala was tier 1, because that's actually when I first started playing Cyber Dragons, just because they were pretty link heavy. We have like Chimera Tech Fortress, and just being able to essentially clear backward with like whatever non-engine we're playing. And then of course Nova here effect, which does not come up too often, but it is useful there for the OTK. And then we have another one with Swordsoul Super Heavy. So this one actually, this Super Heavy variant actually was one of the 2 lists that topped the YCS recently, so post Age of Overlord. So you know what, definitely some potential with Swordsoul still kicking around there. Don't underestimate them too much. So essentially, it's funny, if he just stuck on the Yangzing, I think he actually would have just won because all light monsters, but of course the opponent wouldn't know that at this point. The bike, and then just kind of like the super heavy engine. This deck, of course, died very, very fast back when it first came out, with the Scarecrow being banned within like 3 weeks, I think, of this deck actually being tier 1. I guess they're not too fond of too many one-card crazy combo decks. Stardust, XL Synchro, and then we're gonna go get the bike, and we have the other Chang Ying. So it's honestly a very easy board to break. He does have the Ash for the emergency, which is never gonna be good, because what if I was playing Drytron? Like, you wouldn't really Ash this anyways against him. We're gonna force that Baron with the Talents take. Now we have Core. We essentially just want like Clockwork Knight to kind of just fuse away. Remember, this also boosts 500, so you wouldn't actually be able to machine dupe, although I guess I'm actually losing attack, so maybe that works out. So this was a very quick one, but nonetheless a very easy sweep. Okay, so the final replay is against Dragon Link. So this one is another grindy one that I unfortunately end up losing, which, to be honest with you, is kind of not surprising in this format, I suppose, as I keep saying. I actually had several other replays with a lot of losses that I wanted to show, but they were actually kind of just a little far too long, dragged on for too long. And I think this one enough kind of essentially captures some of the problems with Cyber Dragons right now, which is actually Bestials, like especially Druid's Worm, just being able to send, especially when I'm trying to, attack with the big Chimera Tech Fortress and just not working out. So I'm finding Bestials are very, very tough. I'm almost considering putting Cyberload Fusion back in just because of all the banished because of Bestials, but at the same time, that's not really the core issue. Again, it's just more so the Druid's Worm send that's being kind of a bigger problem. So now at this point, the Nib of course is useless. He was able to go into Baron really fast. The tuning stuff I don't think is that common though. I mean, I guess this player is just kind of playing a more creative side of things. So we do have Pistier, Serenir, Heroic Seal, and now we have the Ravine, which typically pitches, okay, never mind, yeah, Absor Router, and that gets you to Tracer, and then of course Boot Sector, which allows you to summon that Tracer, and then Tracer can special another rocket from the deck. Typically they go into, well, I guess in this case, Dispatter, which is a very good card. Something that's been seen in a lot of play in pretty much any synchro-based strategy. We also have Red Eyes Darkness Metal, just being able to special. This essentially goes into SP, of course. We have the Druid's Worm here, and then has an impromptu boot. Baron is already used in the gate, so he's just bringing back the Magma. Regain is also a hell of a good card, really good for the ground game. You do want to get rid of that pretty soon. And now here, we're going to go with the Cyber Dragon. So I'm going to pause here. So you can only activate Clockwork Knight once per turn. So that's why I wanted him to, I thought he would use Heroic Seal effect when I summon Cyber Dragon, just because it's gonna just go away, right? Because I can always contact fuse it away. So because of that, I did have to unfortunately contact fuse it away first instead of, let's say, activating Clockwork Knight and then trying to contact fuse away everything, because if he bounces the Clockwork Knight, I just won't be able to do it, and I really need this to resolve. We're going to use Ref System, which is actually very kind of a bad choice to do, or rather difficult choice to do, because we know he added Druid Swarm. The problem is, again, we didn't really have much of a choice, and this actually does not target, so I was kind of hoping maybe he wouldn't bother with it. It kind of worked out by luck, and so now we can go Clockwork and just get rid of everything. So now Serenade, but again, that Druid Swarm really tough on Cyber Dragons, unfortunately. So we can't really kill him, and it just gets rid of our monsters. So we at least have Prosperity as a kind of card that I kind of started playing again, just because we have SP Little Knight and we have a little bit of a grind game nowadays. We still have our normal summon. Unfortunately, it's hit with the Veiler. But again, we do have that Chaos Angel, Light and Dark. It's actually pretty strong. He has that Impromptu, which really is annoying, unfortunately. With the attack boost too, it's like pretty crazy. Levy is really good. So the Clockwork Knight against Dragon Link never lasts that long, because they can always pop it with the Levy. And so we do have kind of a wall here, but I think it's actually kind of, I guess, impressive in terms of the way they go around to try to combat the Chaos Angel, which they also have the Borla of Furious, which also cannot be destroyed by battle. So essentially, it kind of becomes like a stalemate, although I do kind of run out of gas here. But he does have Levy again. Yeah, that Clockwork Knight is gone. He's going to go into Dark, gets my Chimera Tech Mega Fleet, and then just try to crash so he can add off of the Dark, gets a Tracer, and then summons Tracer, pops my Mega Fleet, goes into Recharger, Striker Dragon, and then Striker adds the Revolver, or rather Recharger, sorry, and then gets the Dispatter, Starlight, and then Borlo Savage Negate as well. So anyways, essentially I'm just gonna actually kind of end the replay here, because I really don't end up doing much. I also don't know, I think I should have attacked over Dispatter first maybe. But anyways, it kind of just drags on until my opponent draws Imperm, and then I essentially lose from there. Anyways, guys, that was it for the Cyber Dragon replays for this format. Hopefully you found that enjoyable, and yes, it is definitely still pretty rough trying to play this deck, but I'm sure there's a lot of you Cyber Dragon lovers out there, and so as long as you guys are out there, I'm still going to try my best to at least keep playing this deck in the format as we move forward. So a big thanks to all of you for watching, a huge thanks to my patrons as always for the continued support, and well, take care, guys.